We are live, everybody, with the No DQ review, episode number 99. One away from 100 episodes of this critically acclaimed series on NoDQ.com. And I have a feeling this just might be the greatest No DQ review ever. Let me introduce our moderator, Virtue. How's it going, brother?
It's going good. Can everybody hear me and see me okay?
Well, good.
Thank you. No DQ review number 99. That's right. We are one away from 100. I am being joined by the elite panel of No DQ, and this week it's myself, Aaron Rift, Son. I'm not even say your last name because I screw it up. I'm bad with names.
Son Goshuaku.
There you are. And of course, Big G. Son, you're back on the show this week. What's up? I know you just did the pay-per-view preview. So you're back on. What's up, man?
Doing good. I'm ready to go ahead and break down. I definitely looking forward to some of the NXT portions of our conversation coming up here.
Oh, it'll be fun. It always is. So it's great to have you on. Big G.
What's up?
Tell me.
I'm doing pretty good. I just came back from camping this past weekend, getting over the sunburn that I got. Other than that, we got some wrestling to discuss, so let's get this bad boy started.
Now, Aaron, you're in the dungeon somewhere. Like, what's up, man? You're in a different locale.
Yeah, I'm just changing things up this week, trying to give us a cool vibe for episode number 99 before 100. I'm ready to go.
It kind of reminds me of the Boiler Room Brawl from SummerSlam 96.
Yeah, exactly. I got to give it more of a wrestling vibe, you know? We got to change it up since I'm unable. So get this. I tried to do the green screen that you guys have, but for some reason this app that I use will not allow me to do it, even though it has an option for a green screen. So I'm like, well, I got to change things up a little bit. I got to use actual backgrounds since I cannot use digital backgrounds. Oh, and we do have a $2 super chat here from Adrian, first one of the evening. He says 99 red balloons. Well, thank you for that. What does that even mean? I have no idea what that's a reference to.
It's a song.
Oh.
It's a song.
I know 99 problems, but not 99 balloons, unfortunately.
Now, is it just me, or is Aaron coming through clear to everybody else, or is he getting like a feed like he's from Saudi Arabia?
I think he's...
Everybody's loud and clear to me.
Okay, that's all that matters.
Fine. Yeah,
I'm going to kick off the first topic.
I'm actually in my mother's basement.
Well, I can hear you. Nice. Hey, a lot of fans that are watching this probably are.
Ooh.
Hey, let's talk about NXT. Yeah.
OG85 sent in a $2 super chat saying the greatest super chat ever. Thank you for that. I think Big G might have had the best super chat ever, if you know what I mean.
I think he has. Yeah, a couple times. So let's kick off with our final take on NXT TakeOver in your house. The set was cool. You know, they could have used Todd Pettengill a little bit more, but let's see. Adam Cole retained. Keith Lee retained. Killer Cross went over Ciampa. Ballard won his match. And Io Shirai became the NXT Women's Champion. So what's everyone's thoughts here? You know, to me, NXT, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get the matches that appeal to, you know, the longer matches. Look, they're very good, but like it's almost like how do you keep comparing NXT takeovers when they're all very good in terms of in-ring quality? It gets tough sometimes, and sometimes you got to be a little harsh on them because they set the bar so high with the in-ring work. So I did like the change up here, doing in your house, having that like mid-90s feel. Aaron and I can definitely relate to that. So, Son, I'm going to go to you. Thoughts on this pay-per-view, some of the results, anything that stuck out? I think one in particular you might be happy about because it's actually going to be kind of built into a topic later. What's your take from this show?
So it was great to see the old setback. I'm with Aaron on many of his reviews when he says it'd be so great to have a lot of these custom sets brought back. I like the nostalgia feel. Maybe have the red, blue, and white in there for the ropes would have been awesome. But yeah, it was a good show. Every time I do a review on my channel for NXT, I always say you're always guaranteed a good to great show, but never a bad one. And that's exactly what Triple H's NXT crew and the talent all delivered. I thought it was great. I love love the cool different feel that you had in the parking lot brawl match. I mean, just everything was pretty good. I can't complain. The triple threat match at the end of the main event, I thought that was awesome. I definitely have more to say about that a little bit later, but I'm very happy to see Io Shirai get her moment finally as the champion. And yeah, I can't say enough good things. Everything from top to bottom. Thought it was a good show.
Aaron, thanks, son. Here's my problem with this. Like, what's up with? I know wins don't matter in wrestling if your character's presented right and you're always in big profile matches. Velveteen Dream, and granted, it was a cinematic match the way it happened, but that's twice now he's failed against Adam Cole. Kind of, and has it been because of some of those things that controversy surrounding him, or are they just waiting? What do you think?
I think maybe they're waiting. I'm curious to see now what happens with Adam Cole and Karrion Kross. Is WWE booking themselves into a corner with that, going with Kross too soon, or is it time to go with a new champion? And I'm not sure what's going on right now with Velveteen Dream, but I'm hopeful that it's just WWE feels it's too soon to put the title on him. We do have a $5 super chat. We have a couple of them, so let me get to these. Coleman with a $5 super chat says, do you guys think WWE books themselves into a corner with a Karrion Kross and Keith Lee match? Not only did Kross eye Cole's NXT title, but Lee did also. Well, I think Keith Lee should go to the main roster soon. I know he's got the North American title, but I was a little surprised that Keith retained just because, the guy, he's 35. I know he's 35, not 36, but he's still not a young guy, and I don't want a repeat of Samoa Joe. We saw Samoa Joe come into WWE, and unfortunately, he was already close to 40, or maybe he was 40 by the time he came into WWE, and he's been injured a lot because of his age. I think if Joe came in a decade ago, he would have had, if he came in a decade ago, I think it would have been bad timing. He would have been lost in the shuffle. But if we had the 2007 or 2008 Samoa Joe in 2020, Joe would be on fire right now. I think he might have even beaten Brock Lesnar if we had that Joe. So I'm hopeful WWE doesn't wait too long with Keith Lee. Strike the iron when it's hot, but you guys can also give your thoughts on what's going on with Keith Lee here in a second. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat, and this is for Sun. He says, who's the bigger jobber, Yamcha or EC3? Is that a Dragon Ball character?
Yamcha. Yeah, it's a Dragon Ball character.
Yamcha for sure.
Wow, so
EC3 had his moments of glory in the Dragon Ball series. Yamcha, unfortunately, he was always the guy to put over the next big villain.
Okay, so maybe he was a Barry Horowitz type? Or even worse.
Yeah, it's unfortunately the amount of L's he's gotten.
Oh, wow. And we also have a $2 super chat here, who I think this is Mo Camera because it's Canadian. It's probably that racist guy. He said, dude in the bottom right probably smells like bag. So, any response to that, Virtue?
I missed that.
And by the way, any moderators
if it was about me,
any moderators in there, you guys can put that guy in a ban.
If it was about me, I worked you again. You hate me so much, you got to super chat and make comments like that. All right, Aaron. You were talking about NXT in your house. I know you've already kind of talked about it, but any final thoughts before we pass it over to the Big G?
I just thought it was a really good show. I think NXT continues to put out a solid product, as does AEW. However, it feels like at the same time, neither brand is really doing much to be able to bring in new viewers. We had the numbers come in this week, and they both dropped from last week. And by the way, Virtue, we might be able to go on a side topic here, but there is some breaking news, which we could talk about in a few minutes once we finish this topic. But yeah, NXT TakeOver, thumbs up show. I enjoyed it. Loved the atmosphere with the house set and Todd Pettengill, and the matches were all really solid. And Adam Cole and Velveteen Dream was good. Not the best cinematic match in my opinion, but it was still good. And Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, is Finn Balor overhyped? He seems lost in NXT. Well, what's interesting is I thought Balor would be the next person to go after Adam Cole, not Karrion Kross. Like, I'm kind of curious to see what's going on with Balor, even though he did beat Damian Priest. But maybe Big G can give his thoughts on what's going on with Balor and his thoughts on that.
Well, I also enjoyed NXT TakeOver in your house.
Oh, really? I thought you were going to say you didn't. And then shock us all.
You shot. I was kind of thinking, I was like, am I going to like the show? Am I not? But I liked it from start to end. Karrion Kross showed off what he could do against Ciampa. Finn Balor, I don't think he's lost in NXT. I think he's actually doing a little bit more in NXT than he was on the main roster. And didn't he say he was going to go after the North American title, if I'm not mistaken, last night on NXT?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, here's a problem with Finn Balor, and we're going to talk about this with the Charlotte thing later. If you bring someone he was an NXT champion, he did all the demon stuff, then he went to the main roster, he was Universal champion. Yeah, we know he got hurt. You take him back to NXT, you don't book him in the mid-card. You make them part of the main event consistently. WWE, there's so many conflicting signals right now, and we'll talk about that more later. But back to you, Big G, on In Your House.
What else? I'm happy that Io won. We'll talk more about that later on in the main event, obviously. What else? The Velveteen Dream thing. If they're not going to be champion by now, then either put him on the main roster or just keep him in NXT and have him go for the North American title, or have him team up with Dexter Lumis and have them go for the NXT tag team titles. They seem like
they had Matt Riddle in a tag title division before he got sent over.
So,
you know what I mean?
At this point, it's like, what does WWE want to do? They either need to do something to make a bigger star, or to make, pretty much a bigger star or a star, or just say, screw it, we're not going to do anything with anybody anymore. We're just going to let them wrestle and not build characters and storylines.
So another good NXT show, we all agree.
Yes.
Maybe not the best one or even close to it, but another good one. All right, Aaron, what's this breaking news?
Okay, so it appears that Paul Heyman is no longer the creative director of Raw. Apparently, WWE is streamlining. This is a direct quote from WWE. In an effort to streamline our creative writing process for television, we have consolidated both teams from Raw and SmackDown into one group led by Bruce Pritchard. Paul Heyman will concentrate on his role as an in-ring performer. So there you have it.
Look, Aaron, it's going to get worse. Bruce Pritchard is probably one of the worst creative people of all time, and unless it's involving a brother love character to give goofy interviews. Yes, he had some input on The Undertaker back in the day, but God, man, come on, Vince McMahon. Like, why do you have these people? It's not going to make it any better. This is just a stupid corporate move, in my opinion. Anybody else's take?
It's going to be interesting to hear, because I think back to Road Dogg. People were giving him so much criticism over the way he was booking SmackDown, and then he went over to join Triple H in NXT, and he was saying it was just so many different creative frustrations that he was having. And it seems you keep hearing a lot about this. More and more writers who end up saying, it was just very difficult to try and work with the creative process. When you're hearing about how, Vince McMahon, you say he likes to micromanage a lot of things. I really wonder if this was once again Paul Heyman, if he just couldn't take anymore, and he'd just rather stay as an on-screen character. So I'm going to be interested to hear what goes on more about behind the scenes with this case.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm sure it's Heyman's fault for the Raw numbers being so low during the pandemic. Oh, so I don't know. I mean, we know Heyman's got some fairly good creativity, but unless you can strictly do what you want to do and not go through Vince McMahon, it's never going to see the light of day. So these people are just scapegoats for Vince McMahon's inadequacies. So when it's time, you can put the blame on them and say, hey, we're changing our directions, and that'll make things better. That's what they do. It's a revolving door, Aaron.
I hate to say this, well, maybe not, but I would not mind seeing Vince Russo get another shot. Like, why not bring him back? What do you have to lose? Give him.
He challenged Vince. He challenged Vince and told Vince how it was and how it needed to be. And that was at a time where Vince had to listen to somebody because they were losing, and he was, it's not that. I mean, yeah, they're losing, but there's really no true competition. It'll never happen again, Aaron. And of course, I'd like to see it happen because the haters of Russo, oh man, they would just be so miserable. But they're going to watch anyway.
I mean,
so what bad? It would do no bad. You bring a Russo back, you might bring casuals. The people that say they don't like his stuff are going to watch anyway.
Yeah, I'm just going to say this. I think WWE needs somebody new. I don't know who can step up, but they need somebody with a fresh vision, somebody that can take wrestling to somewhere it's never been before. The problem with Bruce Pritchard is, he's the old guard. He's the guy that's been around forever, and, they're just using the same ideas that they've been using for decades. What we need is somebody who can take WWE and put it in a whole new galaxy, in a whole new area where it's never been before, and just creatively go somewhere completely different and take wrestling into a new era, something different from what we have, instead of just
I'd leave my career, but I'd want guaranteed $500,000 per year with ratings incentive bonus to make more, and I'd want at least a 2-year deal. So There you go, WWE. I'm giving you the offer.
And Psycho Jet Black just sent in a $2 super chat. Says Pritchard is a yes man that kisses Vince's butt.
Oh, yeah, and that's why he's also getting set up to be the next scapegoat. That's just how it works. Big G, you want to add anything before?
No, not really.
Okay.
Not really.
Topic number 2 still kind of deals with NXT. Randy Orton. Now, Randy's always Randy. He'll poke the bear, whether it's some, workers, fans. So he said, basically making fun of NXT style of matches, leg slap, this and that. They could turn this into a nice work at some point with Ciampa and Orton. But he's right. Like Randy is Randy. We know his matches aren't the greatest, right? But the bottom line is you watch a Randy Orton match because most of the time he's heel and sadistic and you're waiting for the RKO payoff. Who cares how he gets there? Randy Orton's an older style of wrestler where you watch his matches because you wait for the finish. Are they going to book him over? How is he going to go over? Is he going to? And it's not about how you get there. And that's how wrestling used to be. I think it's great when he does this because it really, there are fans that don't like that stuff in NXT. They want to see. I'm not saying wrestling has to go back to the old matches where it's all headlocks and stuff. I get that. You have to have a good equal blend. But Orton's right here, in my opinion, right? They do too much of it. And New Japan, and even All Elite Wrestling and NXT, where to me, they're trying to make that the norm. Remember when that used to be special, Aaron?
Yeah.
That style of match? You got like maybe one every 4 months. Now fans have to see it all the time. So, Aaron, thoughts on this Orton criticism? Yeah, it could just be a jab, fun little loving jab with workers, but I love when this stuff happens.
Well, I mean, typically when people start taking shots at each other on Twitter, it's to build a storyline, right? Like you would think, hey, this is a way to kick off a potential match between Randy Orton and Tommaso Ciampa. Now, will Randy Orton go to NXT, taking a shot at the NXT stars? That's a little interesting. I wonder if they're actually going to do something like that. And that could be a way to maybe get more people watching the NXT product if Randy Orton goes there. And I mean, if Orton loses to Edge, which I think he might, I did pick Edge to win the match. It could go on one more pay-per-view, maybe SummerSlam. But after that, where does Randy Orton go? Like, that would be something different for him. And we've all heard the stories about Ciampa, how he doesn't want to go to the main roster. So yeah, I'm curious to see if this is leading to a match or a storyline, because if it's not, it's weird because it goes against Vince's philosophy that you do not tease something that you're not able to deliver on. Although WWE does that all the time now. They advertise matches for Raw that never end up taking place. But yeah, I wonder if this is leading to something. And I'm curious to see if Randy Orton goes to NXT. I think that would be a very interesting development. Adrian sent in a $2 super chat, by the way. He says, Orton can do what he wants as he's the GOAT. Well, I mean, I enjoy what Randy Orton does. I mean, he's not the flashiest wrestler, but he's had some good matches in his career. And he can do the matches with a lot of shock and a lot of action. Look at the match with Mick Foley at Backlash 2004. That was That was brutal. And Orton taking the bump into the thumbtacks. He can do that stuff. He likes to do things when they can have the most meaning. He doesn't want to just do a million things in a match. I agree with him on that. I think sometimes these guys are so focused with trying to do 100 things in a match, you end up forgetting it when it's all over. I think moderation is the key. And I say this all the time. Like, the problem with ECW was that every show they would have somebody going through a table, and it got to the point where seeing somebody go through a table was no longer special because you saw it on every show. So that's my take on it, and I understand Randy Orton's point of view. It is very fun to watch what the NXT guys do, but at the same time, it could end up cutting their careers short. Now, I do have a couple of super chats here. From Caleb Jacobs, $2.32. He says, I have a feeling Edge is going to lose. This one I could flip a coin on, and when we did predictions, I think we were maybe split. I know in talking with the other NoDQ people, they seem to be split as well. And Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, would you want RKO to join NXT and feud with Ciampa? I would like to see it personally. Virtue, what do you think?
Yeah, but the problem is, if you're going to send main roster people to NXT, Finn Balor, Charlotte, they should consistently be in the main events, not just dabble in there. And the whole Charlotte thing, we're going to dive into the weeds later on in the show. Big G, what do you think?
Yeah, so I was reading the article earlier, and, I'm like in between. I mean, I like the NXT matches because, they are kind of more fast-paced, and yet I like the matches that tell a story, like Randy Orton's matches. He's slow, methodical, pretty much the old style of wrestling. But, to each their own. If you want to have a fast-paced match or do all these high-risk moves and have a shorter career, then by all means do that. But if you want to have longevity in the wrestling world, I would assume, you would want to have not really slow matches, but try to mix
the Miz
it up
style, like the Miz.
Yeah,
the Miz is looking for longevity.
Exactly. I mean, he's been there 15 plus years, and he really hasn't had an injury since. So I mean, like I said, to each their own. Other than that, I mean, not much else. Not much else to say about that.
Well, have some more shot of your Heineken there, or whatever beer you're drinking. Son, what do you think here? I don't mind whether it's real or not. You know how the Matt Riddle stuff with Lesnar and Goldberg. If you do smart business and people are talking about it, whether it's real or not, you need to go in that direction if people are talking about it, because that's what they probably want to see. So I agree with Aaron. What do you think, son?
Yeah, I think, I have the utmost respect for today's talent and the incredible athletic feats that they can do. But I also think Randy Orton makes some good points when you think about longevity. I've heard a lot of the interviews, listen to Matt Hardy's interview on Jericho's podcast. A lot of them talked about how as they got older, they realized that the more important aspect was the characters, such as doing the facial expressions, the psychology, and just look, Matt Hardy is known now not for the big stunts that he does, but for all the crazy shenanigans that his character does. And I'll think about Mick Foley, how later on towards the end of his career, he went to more of a comedy route with Mankind, and we all ended up loving him for all his comedy and segments as opposed to the giant big bumps he was taking. And when it comes to someone like Randy Orton, like you said, Virtue, he's not the greatest, he doesn't put on the greatest matches ever, compared to what we've seen, but he has some great matches in his own right with his psychology. We're going to always remember Randy Orton for the RKO, the viciousness of his character as a heel, and just those type of moments that you always remember. So there are times when I watch NXT matches where it's that was awesome, but I don't want to see this person later on in their career have it get shortened, or they can't enjoy their life afterwards. There is life after wrestling, and I hope that some of the talent does take that into consideration. Think about it long term. So, like I said, it's amazing what these guys can do, but I think Randy Orton makes a great point. Those small things really go a long way, and that's a lot of what we as the fans are going to remember long term.
Yeah.
And I remember in wrestling when it wasn't about the match. If you got a 5-star match, you were wow, but you never really cared. As long as it wasn't a dud, you were worried about who was going over, the promos, what was going to happen the next night on Raw, the fallout. It was that type of stuff, not the match. But I don't know. I guess we're evolving.
I mean, Orton said he wants to wrestle till he's 50, and I mean, he can do it. He's in great shape. A lot of wrestlers want to wrestle for as long as they possibly can. So,
yeah, and they make it work.
I'll add on this too about matches, and I love a great match, but it's about if those characters and that storyline is captivating and it builds into that match, just like with the stuff that Randy Orton was talking about, then that's where I think wrestling's at its absolute best.
Yeah, I agree. Now, how about this topic? The bigger picture, Aaron. Road Dogg. Oh, Road Dogg. What a company, yes, man. Oh, my goodness. Like, okay, he's still with the company. He's still saying things. But like scripted promos are part of a bigger picture. They're done. I mean, seriously. Austin, Rock, they had creative freedom. Yes, Vince McMahon and his writers, right? Whoever, Vince Russo, Ed Ferrara, they gave bullet points to these performers.
Give them bullet points. They've gone through promo class down in NXT if they're coming from NXT. They've, if you're coming from the independent scene or whatever, I'm sure WWE teaches you how to do their style of promos. So give them bullet points and let them speak from their heart, or like it's their own words. Not coming from Vince's ass. Other than that,
Well, I'll give you an example. Like poor Bayley. I mean, she's awful on the mic.
Yeah,
she's absolutely awful. And not everybody is a good talker, but if you book them right and you do pre-tapes and stuff, there's ways to get their weaknesses out of there and build to their strengths. Exactly. And they just don't do that. And I'm not just picking on Bayley. Like you could mention other people that have weak promos, like Roman remembering lines, trying to talk. That wasn't his strong point. But when you just let him go out there and just get his rage out, it comes across fairly decent. Aaron, what do you think on this?
Well, I think that from one perspective, I understand what Road Dogg is saying. They're concerned that the wrestler is not going to go out there and say what needs to be said, and they might say something offensive. And we know how WWE is now. They're very politically correct, and they want to micromanage, basically. But on the other hand, it just ends up being...
All right. Now go, Aaron. I started talking. Chat, let us know if you can at least hear Son, Big G, and me, and if it's just Aaron that's choppy. I don't know. It might be the whole stream because Aaron's the one streaming it. But let's move on to the next topic here. And I want to talk briefly about some AEW. Cody Rhodes, the TNT champion. 2 weeks in a row now, I've seen him have these matches that close the show, Dynamite, and Cody goes over. I'm fine with that. The hugging shit's got to stop. There's good competitive. I'm finally glad Jack Swagger came out, because that's not going to be end in a hug and a handshake. But I get it. This TNT title's supposed to be like a TNT or a TV title, defending it every week. Is this just the right amount of exposure for something like this? Is it maybe too much because Cody's not at the main event level? He's kind of at this TNT championship level, but yet we see him every week more than the Moxleys of the world. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
So, Big G, what do you think here? Is it too much exposure for a mid-card, upper mid-card title? Maybe you should be giving your main event guys more of this. I don't know. I get why.
I feel.
What do you think?
I feel. Yeah, I do too. I mean, and I'm liking the TNT championship. I feel they should do it maybe have it defended every 2 weeks or even every 3 weeks. Have the people build up the opportunity to get the title. I know it's an open challenge, so anybody can challenge for it. And I like that Jake Hager, finally a heel is, challenging Cody for it. Yeah. And I like, the good competitive stuff at the end of the match, the handshake or whatever, but don't hug the person. Or if it's, just a sign of respect. You're both baby faces, so you have respect for each other, but don't hug. Come on, but other than that, like I said, every 2 to 3 weeks, I think there might be a match next week, but it looks like that Hager's challenging Cody at Fyter Fest. So we'll see. Other than that, not much else to say.
Son, what do you think? Have you been watching much AEW? I mean, I don't know what your take is.
I've been keeping up. I agree completely with Big G because and while it was cool, like when John Cena did the United States Open Challenge, we got some great matches. But when you do this every week, Title, you basically are blowing through all your potential storylines. I agree. Have up to about a 2 or 3 build. When I was a kid, that's what I enjoyed. I enjoyed, even with the mid-card titles, seeing a whole build-up for 4 weeks, and then it closes at the pay-per-view, and then you keep repeating that cycle. Get some build-up, some storylines, and these things are weird because like when they do these type of storylines like Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles, I'm always in between. Like it's cool that someone like Daniel Bryan wants to give an open opportunity to someone, but AJ is right as the heel is that, hey, you should earn this. We had to earn our shot. You should too. So when they do these things like what they're doing with Cody, it's like, yeah, I rather it just be a storyline. It just means more when that challenger has worked their way up to the top to challenge for that title.
Now, Aaron, I was just so relieved to see Hager come out because now at least Cody's going to go against somebody that doesn't like him with no respect. I always thought, right, good versus evil. That's what I watch for. But yeah. What do you think here, Aaron?
I'm fine with the Cody Rhodes defending the title every week. It is very similar to John Cena and the Open Challenge. The biggest negative of it to me is that I feel like the matches are very predictable. Cody's just going to keep winning for the time being, and then eventually somebody will be a legit challenger and maybe even beat him for the title. It is what it is. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens once somebody like MJF gets in there, maybe to challenge Cody or any number of people. But for now, if it's going to be Cody Rhodes versus random person, like, it's good for that person. They're getting some exposure. Jungle Boy got some. Mark Quinn got some. They got a chance to shine with Cody. One person, let me read off this super chat. We have a $2 super chat from Adrian. Cody is Jeff Jarrett 2.0. Okay, I disagree with that. People like to say, booking himself as champion. Okay, so first of all, Cody Rhodes, I would say, is legitimately a bigger draw than Jeff Jarrett ever was. Cody Rhodes is one of the reasons that AEW is a thing. Cody, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, their collective drawing power helped build AEW. People do care about Cody.
I don't think we lost Aaron.
Yeah, and I noticed when this is happening, the whole stream's circling. So Aaron's got a very bad reception, I think.
Yeah, he's down in the basement.
Yeah, that's what's been, because it's like, so nobody's even hearing me talk right now because the whole stream is paused.
Well, mine is still running.
So Aaron, you got your stream keeps freezing because of, I think, your signal.
Yeah, I know. I'm not sure what people are hearing or not hearing. We're just going to have to roll with the punches here. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat.
When your signal gets weak, Aaron, when your signal gets weak, it just pauses the whole stream. That's what I've been noticing. Go ahead.
All right. Well, we'll see how the final. If this stream is all messed up, I apologize. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says Rift Ayrton is hacking your stream as revenge. Yeah, he very well may be. I'm going to have to do some investigating when we're done here. I'll tell you.
Maybe Rift Ayrton will be revealed as the hacker on SmackDown.
There you go. I'll tell you what. This is going to be the last time I'm going to hang out in this dungeon. I'll tell you that much.
Well, we're trudging along, and I think what happens is once the live stream's over, the stop just gets skipped over. So people that watch it on demand, it'll probably just skip around a couple times. But it should be good. Aaron, you got cut off on your Cody talk. Did you want to go back and reiterate anything, or do you want me to move on?
I just think it's a good storyline, but it's a little predictable. I am curious to see what happens next, and I do think that Cody is not like Jeff Jarrett. And if anything, I think Cody, Young Bucks, Omega should be booked very strongly because they're the guys that brought AEW to the point where it's at. So go ahead, Virtue.
Well, people in the chat say they can hear us even when the stream freezes. So I'm going to move on. And we got a couple more topics that kind of like overlap here. So I guess you can call this one big main event. But the state of the WWE women's division. Obviously, Becky is gone, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. So right now, Bayley is the SmackDown Women's Champion. Her and Sasha are the tag champs. Asuka is the Raw Women's Champion. Charlotte recently lost her title, of course. Io Shirai is the NXT champion. And Son, I know you wanted to kind of bring Charlotte up. Was this a successful or a failed run as her being the NXT Women's Champion? And is there anybody lost in the shuffle? So, Son, I will start with you here. The state of the WWE Women's Division. Remember when we had, what was that pay-per-view called? Was it Revolution or Evolution?
Evolution.
Of course, when we had Ronda Rousey in the company, we had an all-female pay-per-view and women headlining WrestleMania. And now she never came back. Becky's gone. And, you know, Charlotte's kind of got that Roman Reigns thing going where just the nepotism, Ric Flair's daughter, the company's pushing you to go over all the time. So she gets that kind of mixed reaction where sometimes the fans aren't pleased with her being booked strong. Take it away. What do you think here? Any thought? And you can pick it apart. You can talk about Charlotte mostly. What do you think, Son?
Well, I actually think, and I was telling a friend of mine at work, saying, because he hasn't been keeping up with, and I said, I actually think the women in just all of WWE right now during these PC shows have been the real standouts. I think Sasha and Bayley have been doing an excellent job on SmackDown. Asuka's been hilarious with her antics, and it took her all the way to the Raw Women's Championship on Raw. And then on SmackDown, NXT, we already know how excellent the talent there with the women have been. So I think they've been working really hard. And yeah, I did bring up off screen about Charlotte, like the question of did she elevate NXT? And I'm looking at this whole reign and I'm like, man, they took the title off of Rhea Ripley, who right then was already in her first title reign. And obviously Charlotte, she went head to head with some of the best NXT had to offer. And even though I did enjoy the triple threat match, Io Shirai pinned Rhea Ripley, not Charlotte Flair. So in the end, I guess if Charlotte's done with NXT, it's like, who did she really elevate? The matches were good, but I felt like Charlotte's reign told us what we already knew.
Benefiting from all this stuff that's happened, maybe just by happenstance, but what's your thoughts on the state of the women's division right now? Raw and SmackDown and NXT if you want.
All right, well, first of all, Adrian sent in a $10 super chat going back to earlier from his previous super chat. To clarify, Cody is a better wrestler than Jeff Jarrett. My issue is Cody is all over the show every week. He's making himself the focal point. That's my issue. Well, I don't have a problem with that. I think Cody should be one of the focal points of the show when you're trying to build the brand. And like I said, he's one of the guys that helped put it on the map. But yeah, I definitely feel that Charlotte is on TV too much. It's gotten to the point where I'm just like, ugh, every time she comes out on TV. And I'm hopeful that she's done with NXT for the time being. I'm fine with her versus Asuka. You know, that makes sense. She is one of the top stars on the brand. And I agree with Son. I think WWE's done a great job with the women since the pandemic started. Bayley and Sasha, they've been on TV every week, and they've really shined. They're doing well. The storyline with them has been building up. Asuka's been doing great. So overall, I feel like the women's division is thriving. They did lose Becky Lynch, and we'll talk about Becky here in a few minutes. But overall, I think the women's division's doing well. Just no need for Charlotte to be on 3.
Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch. And Becky won by why would Charlotte, after winning the Rumble, not want to challenge Becky on a big stage to make up for her not getting pinned last year? WWE has really botched this, and they put Charlotte in the predicament of having her face everywhere, and because she's Charlotte, over 10-time champion, and she, you know, they're going to get upset, and she's going to get the Roman treatment, and it's going to come across as a failure. NXT wasn't moving the needle. Look, Finn Balor is in NXT now. NXT's not getting the needle moved because they're just still treating it like NXT. Oh, with a couple main roster stars that come down for here and there. Nothing against them, but Wednesday nights, they're splitting the same piece of pie, right? It's 1.4 million people they're splitting. I mean, AEW is getting a little bit more of it. So what's your take here on the state of the WWE women's division? And I'm going to give Charlotte the benefit of the doubt. She's been put in this situation by just bad WWE booking and creative.
So you can have Charlotte on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. Where in the blue hell is Shayna fucking Baszler? Unbelievable. I unfreaking believe it. Unacceptable. Unfreaking acceptable. she was a beast down in NXT. A beast. You know, she beat Io Shirai. She pretty much beat everybody down there. I would have been fine, you know, if Charlotte went down to NXT and Shayna was still in NXT. They could have had a feud over the NXT title if Charlotte was still the champion. Shayna hasn't been on TV since Becky dropped the title to Asuka. I'm fine with Asuka winning or having the Raw title. You know, she's been very more, I don't want to say animated, but more lively. You know, doing the commentary and doing just, I don't know. I like it. Sasha and Bayley, I'm fine with that as well. You know, I like Io, and I like Io as NXT champion. Now, Charlotte didn't have a failed run with the NXT title. WWE did. They didn't know what the hell they wanted to do. They should have booked Shayna to win. They should have had Shayna beat Becky at WrestleMania. Vince needs to get his head out of his freaking ass and look what you got there. You have, I don't want to compare Shayna to Brock Lesnar, but they're both MMA fighters. They're both badasses. You have Matt Riddle going to SmackDown now.
Don't jinx him. Don't jinx him.
It's just so frustrating. You have such good talent on there, but WWE does not know how to properly use their talent.
It's just amazing. Without Ronda Rousey, it's like the women's division just back where it was.
It just gives me such a headache. I'm like, I don't know.
All right, you got a headache. Take a quick break because it's main event time. And Becky Lynch, she's changing her hair color. She's getting out of wrestling mode right now. And we know she could do this for a couple of years, and then when it's time, she can come back. Maybe she can get a fat part-time contract and just work big events. But what is Becky's life after wrestling? Is she done? You know, CM Punk, we all thought when he left WWE that he'd be back in some way, shape, or form. I mean, all we've gotten is WWE Backstage where he comes out and he says a few smarky things like once a month. It's been 5 or 6 years. I mean, think about it. Wrestlers can walk away. And so what's everyone's thoughts here? Could this be it for Becky? I mean, she's made a lot of money. You know she'll be on TV in the future, but can she give all that up now? And because what if she wants another kid? You want to have kid after kid after kid. You're not going to just come back and work. So, son, what do you think here? Life after wrestling for Becky, is she done?
Hold on. First, Aaron, I saw you raising your finger up there. Do you have something to read off?
Yeah, I did want to catch up on the super chats. Maybe I'm frozen for virtue. I don't know.
And then pass it to Son to talk on the topic.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
fine.
Adrian sent in $30, by the way. He says, for the 100th episode, can Virtue wear a suit? What do you think about that?
What did he say again?
You're going to wear a suit on
episode 100? He said, can Virtue wear a suit on a 100th episode?
Oh, I thought he said for $100 will Virtue wear a shirt or a suit. I would have absolutely said yes. But
well, there you go. And Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says casual fans don't
just because he told me to? No.
Moving on to the question, though, as far as Becky Lynch, I mean, she could be done. She really has accomplished everything.
She's basically out of her wrestling look, ready to be a mom. Yeah. So what's your take? Done forever? Just a couple of years off? What do you think?
I'm gonna agree with what Son said. You know, he pretty much took the words out of my mouth. If she's done, she's done. She's had a hell of a career. You know, the moment that made her become pretty much the man is when Nia accidentally busted her nose, and you still see that image where she's in the in the stands with the audience, and you just see the bloody nose. You know, she was in the main event last year, or WrestleMania 35 with Ronda and Charlotte. You know, Seth is still going to wrestle. I'm sure. You know, I'm sure he'll take time off when Becky gives birth, because I'm sure he's going to want to be there because that's his first child too. If Becky doesn't come back, I'm not going to be mad. She's done what she's done. If she does come back for one more match, I'll be happy.
Aaron, thanks, Big G. Hopefully you can hear this and talk. I guess the stream has been very, very lousy the last 50. Can you hear me? You ready to go on this topic?
Yes,
Our apologies, by the way. We don't.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on because I've heard you guys for pretty much the whole thing, and you would think if my internet was going out, I would not hear you guys. So I'm not sure how this final output of the stream is going to be like. But again, I apologize for this. Will not happen again. Game is on 100 sent in a $5 super chat. WWE should have a match where Charlotte can no longer challenge for the women's title for 1 year. I don't think that's going to happen. I do not think that WWE is going to keep Charlotte out of the title picture. We're not that lucky, unfortunately. But yeah, as far as Becky Lynch goes, she's had a great run in WWE. Is it the end for her? Who knows at this point? It might be a while before we see her again. She might not come back full time. She might decide that she wants to just come back on a part-time schedule. We might see her pull an edge and come back.
Which are sweet deals, Aaron. Those part-time deals are sweet deals.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've really enjoyed Becky Lynch's work. I see some people in the chat room criticizing her. I think that she did get a little bit stale after a while, and I think a break was needed. If not the pregnancy, I think it would have been good for her to take some time off after losing the title. But there's still a lot you can do with Becky. One day you could do Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler again. There's some possibilities with Becky when she comes back, and who knows which women are going to rise up and become the next big stars that Becky can come back and feud with. So my feeling is that Becky will not be 100% done. Will she come back and be full-time again? I think that's a question mark, but I do see her coming back and not being completely retired. She'll come back and the fans will be happy to see her back. I think, as somebody pointed in the chat room, she is like the female Daniel Bryan, and I think, the fans are emotionally invested in her despite the hate in the chat room. I think most fans are firmly behind her, and she can come back. And she was an iconic superstar of this era. I think that a lot of young women look up to her, and I think she has her place in WWE history already. And she could end up having, who knows, maybe she will come back and have like a better run than the first one. She could pull a Shawn Michaels. Never say never.
Yep. Good point. All right, well, with that said, because we are having stream difficulties, we've reached an hour. Hopefully when this goes on demand, YouTube does its thing and most of this airs. I don't know how all that works. Let's go around the horn and do our plugs before we get cut off again. So, Son, I'm going to start with you. Welcome back. It's been great. Sorry we had a little bit of lag. I guess it's the pre-100 jitters, and we're going to have a week to get everything back tightened up. So, have at it.
Thanks for having me on. It's always great to talk NoDQ with wrestling and all that good stuff with you guys. Keep it up. And as far as where you can follow my work out there, you see it on the title, how it's spelled. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Come over to my YouTube channel. I just released a podcast video similar in the style that you watch NoDQ review in, but I put a lot of huge presentations with screenshots of the moments we talk about where we're ranking the 4 main Dragon Ball couples. So if you want to check that out and get some in-depth discussion on that, check it out. Also, I've got the trailer to my short film Battle of Deception. If you're an anime fan and want to see my live action film work, there you go. So there's where you can follow me, and I'll leave links in the comments below.
Thank you, Son. Big G.
So yes, NoDQ _Big Baller G on Twitter. NoDQ _Big Baller G 1988 on Instagram. Jeff Hilt on Facebook. Check out NoDQ.com/merch for the latest merch. Check out the Greg Cherry brand, the Jeff Meacham Network. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Aaron Rift.
Well, apparently now the stream is good. People in the chat room are saying it's working good. Now, of course, when we're at the end, everything's good. Adrian sent in a $2 super chat. He's like, Virtue, wear a suit, wear a suit, wear a suit for 100. So you're going to do it or not?
You're just going to have to tune in next week. They're gonna have to tune in next week to find out. And I think they're gonna, most importantly, they just want to make sure Aaron is back where he needs to be when we do our 100th episode next
I
week.
promise you
Perhaps
guys.
that's our
next week-
cliffhanger. Will
next-
Virtue wear a suit? Tune in. See.
That's the cliffhanger. But yeah, I promise you guys next week it'll be back to normal on my end. I did not anticipate these problems considering we were on about 15 minutes before 7 o'clock and we had 0 issues. But yeah, things happen when we go live. You know, I'm surprised the power hasn't gone out on one of these live streams yet. I mean, knock on wood for next week. But I will be doing everything in my power next week to make sure we do not have any technical difficulties. So thank you guys for your patience with this live stream, and hopefully the on-demand version is decent and there weren't too many interruptions throughout. So thank you guys for tuning in. NoDQ.com will have live coverage. And wait a minute, Alex Bryant just sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate it. He says, "What's going on, guys? Wanted to pop in and say love what you guys doing during these times." Thank you again, Alex. We really do appreciate it. And we hope you guys were entertained by the stream despite the technical difficulties. You know, everyone's putting in their best effort here, and I appreciate everybody involved here, not just the guys on the video now, but everyone else that's been on for the past 99 episodes, whether it was Big Vito or Jexy, Caitlin, Jeff Meacham, Greg Cherry, TJS. And I don't want to try to name everybody because then I'll forget somebody. But everybody that's been on for the past 99 episodes, thank you guys so much. You're all awesome, except for El Virtuoso. That guy was a jerk.
Yeah, I agree. But then I'm a jerk too. It's weird. Well, thank you, Aaron. Of course, I'm Virtue. You can follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. But we will be back next week with a better stream quality. And surprises, maybe you'll just have to tune in to see will I wear a suit? Who knows? But for Big G, for Son, and for Aaron Rift, I am Virtue. Thanks for watching NoDQ Galaxy. We'll see you next time.